Hi everyone, I'm Chris Kibble, and in this demonstration I'm going to show you how to make changes to docs.microsoft.com using Git Bash. There are just a few requirements in order to be able to do this. We'll need a GitHub account, we'll need Git for Windows installed, and we'll want to have Git pre-configured as outlined here. So for this example, we're going to be modifying this PowerShell page right here. You can see if we scroll down a little bit, it's missing some examples. And if we scroll down even to the bottom, you'll see that there are some links that have gone side by side where they really should be one on top of the other. So we're going to start by go ahead and clicking on this edit button in the upper right hand corner of the page. And that's going to bring us to GitHub under the Microsoft Docs repository. Now you can't edit files directly in the Microsoft repository, so we're going to need to create a copy of this repository called a fork and put it into our own GitHub account. Doing that is as simple as clicking on this fork button in the upper right hand corner. What you'll see here now at the top is that the entire repository has been copied into my GitHub account where I can make changes. In order to make changes to this repository on my computer, I'm going to need to create a clone of the repository locally. First, I'll click on the clone or download button to get the URL, and I'll copy that to my clipboard. Next, I'm going to open Git Bash and bring down that clone to my computer. So first, I don't want to put the folder here, so I'm going to create a folder for my projects, change into that folder, and then git clone, and then the URL from the clipboard. That's going to take a few minutes to download to my machine. And now we'll look inside of a file explorer to see what those files look like. All right, looks good. So we're going to start by changing into the clone directory in Git using the cd command. You'll see at the end of the folder name that we have the word master in parentheses. This means that we're in what's called the master branch. You typically don't want to make changes in this branch. It's meant to be able to get back to as a clean copy if needed. To create a new branch that is a copy of master, we're going to issue the git checkout command with the b parameter and a name of our choosing. And you can see that we've now created a branch and we're now in that branch as well. I'd encourage anyone who plans on using Git for more than just updating Microsoft Docs to read up more on branches, but that's as far as we're going to explain it for this demo. Now I'm going to open the file up in Notepad++, but you're free to use your favorite text editor or IDE. And I need the file name because it's the same path that is in the Docs website with the MD for Markdown extension added. There are a lot of resources online to learn about the Markdown syntax, but you can probably make most edits without knowing much about it. To start, I'm going to make some changes here starting on line 67 to add in some examples. Next, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom where I want to make those other changes. And I'm going to simply insert a few extra line breaks to ensure that they are put one on top of each other when they display in a web page. Finally, I'm going to save and close the file and return to Git Bash. To check on my changes, I'm going to issue the git status command. And as you can see here, Git can tell that I've made changes to this single file. The first step in getting this change to Microsoft is committing it to my local repository using the git commit command. We're going to use the A parameter to add all the change files into the commit, and the M parameter to add a message about what we've changed. We can see here that we have one file changed with the 22 insertions and 2 deletions. This is now saved locally on my computer in the commit. Next, or after you've made a series of changes that you're ready to upload, we need to get these local changes into your personal GitHub repository. This can be done with the git push command. The first time we push a new branch, like the one we created earlier into the repository, you need to tell Git how to push that branch. Instead of memorizing the command, I typically just let Git remind me of the command by issuing a git push with no other parameters. We can see here what Git wants us to do, so we'll go ahead and issue that command. And we see that Git has pushed that branch up to our online repository, and any other changes that we make to this branch from here on out will just require that we do a git push after our commit with no other parameters required. Finally, I'm going to return to the GitHub website and go back to the Microsoft repository. And we can now see that it actually lists our branch here, shows us updated just a few minutes ago, and it's offering to create a pull request for us. And this request is asking Microsoft to bring our changes into production. We can see that it automatically brought our commit message over, and I have no additional comments to add, so I'll click Create Pull Request. And finally, we can see a comment from one of Microsoft's bots that the authors of the page have been notified to review my proposed change. And with that, we've completed the demo of making changes to docs.microsoft.com using GitHub and the Git Bash command line tools. I have just a few closing notes. First, small changes like this would typically be done right in GitHub without needing to go through the steps that we did. Making more complex changes, as you now understand how to do, would just make the video too long. Second, you may have noticed that I shortened some of the downloading and uploading processes, really just to save you time from staring blankly at progress bars. If yours takes a minute or two or even longer for larger repositories, nothing is wrong. Finally, I code out all of the password prompt screens, mainly to keep things brief, but also because credential managers will vary by system and it's not really relevant to the process. So thanks everyone. I hope you learned at least one thing over the last 5 minutes or so. And if you find something you'd like to change, I encourage you to commit an update. Until next time.